You're watching News Mongolia on MNB World. It's Friday, December 16th. I'm Batsirin Namshir. And our top stories. Protests at Sukhbaatar Square continue. There are new opportunities for Mongolia to strengthen private sector productivity and diversify economy. For other news, stay tuned. Protests and demonstrations at Sukhbaatar Square continue for the second week. Protesters are strongly criticizing unfair and wrong actions of the politicians and government officials. Supporting the younger generation, elderly citizens are joining their voices. Some organizations and individuals are supporting demonstrators by providing them with hot food and tea.
I came here to support these young people, and in general, this demonstration is going well. Today, government officials think that the protest will die down and the protesters will disperse. Young people are not like that. In fact, foreigners are laughing at our government officials. Do the government officials have any sense of shame, or are they just bragging about it? We don't have a leader who orders us, but what the people want to see is to stop 30 years of corruption, stop supporting a few oligarchic groups. Let's live a happy life in Mongolia. There's opportunity in Mongolia. Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, these three rich countries of the world have less natural resources and wealth than Mongolia. However, today their living standards are world standards. We have three demands. First, announce the names of the coal thieves. Secondly, hold them accountable. And thirdly, confiscate their assets. In my opinion, parliament members shouldn't have immunity. The real thieves are inside the Parliament House. We don't have any legal provisions that hold members of the Parliament accountable for their actions, because it's protected by their membership right. When we think that we have heard the names of 10 to 20 members, how can we fight with these 20 members? How can we keep them accountable? And how can we confiscate their assets? The government should think about people's livelihoods. I came here to support these young people.
I'm really sorry that we could not build a good society for our children and future. I sincerely hope that this demonstration and solution will be right, that our people will make the right decision, and that if the top government officials are really corrupt, they will come out honestly and not tire the people like this, and reach an equitable solution.
I've been standing here for 9 days, and we demand accountability from these thieves, but as yet with little results. It's right to convene a People's Congress. They stole all the opportunities of the Mongolian people. Law courts and police agencies are working on their behalf. There is no such thing as true justice. I think that because of a kind of mafia system, thieves will not catch thieves. It's been 7 days since I came from Hovd province to support this demonstration.
Mongolia has an opportunity to strengthen its business environment to create a more level playing field for companies, particularly small and medium enterprises, and facilitate a more productive private sector beyond the mining sector, says the latest World Bank report released this week.
For 2 decades, economic growth performance has been impressive in Mongolia, with significant success in poverty reduction and human well-being. However, Mongolia has become highly dependent on commodities exports, especially coal and copper, with weak linkages between mining and the rest of the economy, says the report. Unemployment is high and the labor force participation is falling, notably for women. Establishing a more conducive and predictable business environment would benefit SMEs, which are more vulnerable to restrictive regulations and make up 97% of the active firms in the country, according to the Mongolian Business Environment and Competitiveness Assessment Report. They contribute around 5.5% of GDP and 2.4% to exports. Mongolian SMEs could be positioned as active agents of the country's needed economic diversification and transformation, integrated in clusters and supply chains for goods and services, providing jobs and fostering inclusive growth, says the report. The report recommends focusing on increasing competition amongst firms to encourage investment and foster innovation. It also highlights the importance of reducing barriers to international trade to facilitate competitiveness of domestic manufacturing and boost non-mining productive sectors. Other recommendations include digitalizing and simplifying administrative systems to improve government services that create a conducive business environment.
The Buryats are a Mongolic ethnic group with unique customs and culture. In our next report, we'll meet a young Mongolian designer who creates traditional costumes with touches of her cultural heritage.
This is Sorma. As a designer, she adds a touch of Buryat culture to her creations. She says that tales sewn by her great-grandmother and passed down to her inspires her new designs. Sorma creates modern dal with Buryat ornaments and decorations, passed down from generation to generation. Her goal is to preserve the traditions and heritage of her people and promote them among the younger generation. These two dal you see were made almost a century ago by my father's grandmother for her two daughters. As you can see, the ornaments are all handmade. I'm an artist who wants to pass on the culture inherited from our ancestors to our younger generation. During the Altargan International Buryat Cultural Festival, she presented her collection inspired by traditional folklore, Domok, old legend. The Altargan Festival featured 27 designers and my collection won the grand prize. The 13 pieces in the collection depict the Buryat legend of the archer Horiday and his wife Swan. Sokurma learned embroidery and how to create ornaments at 5 years old. In the age of globalization, tradition and heritage make cultural diversity possible.
You're watching News Mongolia on MNB World. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at international news from our partner agencies. Istanbul's mayor held a protest Wednesday in the capital in response to his prison sentence on charges of insulting members of Turkey's Supreme Electoral Council.
The court convicted Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu on Wednesday to 2 years and 7 months in jail and also imposed a political ban that could lead to his removal from office. Thousands gathered in front of the municipality building to denounce the verdict against the popular mayor. Among the crowd of chanting supporters, İmamoğlu said the decision was a grave injustice. He, who belongs to the main opposition Republican People's Party, is expected to appeal the verdict. Critics allege the mayor's trial was an attempt to eliminate a key opponent of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Turkey is scheduled to hold presidential and parliamentary elections in June.
The Mexican government has dismantled a massive migrant camp in the southern state of Oaxaca, where tens of thousands of migrants have obtained temporary transit documents on their way to the United States border.
The move comes just days before December 21st deadline set by a United States federal judge to end asylum restrictions that have been used to expel asylum seekers crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. For many like Venezuelan migrant Edwin Torrealba, the December 21st deadline is confusing, and although he plans to march north the next day, he is uncertain on what he will find when he reaches the border. The National Immigration Institute announced the closure of the camp in the remote town of San Pedro Tepanatepec in a statement Monday night without explaining its reason. Town officials in San Pedro Tepanatepec had requested the closure, which had been rumored for weeks. The camp originally opened in late July as a way to relieve pressure on the southern city of Tapachula at the border with Guatemala. Migrants accumulating there had grown increasingly frustrated with the long wait for documents and lack of job opportunities, with its asylum system overwhelmed by applications from people who in most cases just want safe passage to the U.S. border. Mexico began issuing more temporary documents that give migrants a matter of days to travel within the country. Still, the U.S. government had reported record numbers of migrant encounters at the border in the past year. The migrants who were in the San Pedro Tepanatepec camp are expected to make their way north. At its height, there were an estimated 15,000 migrants at the camp, which was made up of several large tents on the outskirts of town. Most hailed from Venezuela and Nicaragua and had been steered there by Mexican authorities. According to federal government data, through early November, more than 135,000 migrants had passed through the camp, 15,000 of them just in October.
A homegrown volunteer group called Zemlyachki, or Women Compatriots, is serving up essential items for women in a supply operation aimed to fill gaps in what Ukraine's military has provided to the 57,000 women who have enlisted in the war effort.
Hundreds of boots, uniforms, stand-to-be devices, wireless bras and thermal underwear, medicines, right-sized bulletproof plates for flak jackets, and care packages with 3 dozen items like lotions, shampoo, toothpaste, and feminine hygiene products have been cultivated. The women, like many Ukrainians, have been both victimized and inspired to fight back against Russian President Vladimir Putin's war in the country, which could have long-term effects on how women are seen in Ukraine. When 25-year-old Anastasia Mokhina donned fatigues and rushed off with her husband on February 24th to help Ukraine defend itself from the Russian invasion, she quickly noticed the military wasn't well prepared for an influx of women volunteers. So her elder half-brother Andrei Kolesnik, who was prevented from doing military service by a childhood disability, and his wife Ksenia Drahanyuk mobilized at home to ship her needed items. In a few days, we're already preparing. We are being sent to frontline positions. We will protect our borders. Our army was not prepared for the fact that so many women would appear in the army. Therefore, they need more uniforms of small sizes, small shoes are needed. And it is clear that such moments are covered by volunteers now, and that is normal because we work as one big team. Women have their own special needs. For example, this is medicine for women's health, because if a man goes to the toilet in the cold, nothing will happen to him. If a woman went to the toilet in the cold, she will have cystitis. Every woman should have a pill for women's health. Word spread fast among inside the ranks that ersatz quartermasters were focusing on women's particular needs, and a homegrown supply operation for female soldiers was born. Today, at least 6,000 Ukrainian women have deployed on or near the front lines in roles like paramedics and intelligence officers, even snipers and artillery gunners. They have joined the fight in a country where all men aged 18 to 60, with some exceptions, have been barred from living under martial law enacted after Russia's invasion. This is her, and this is also. Everything is from Drahanyuk. Sweater under my jacket is from Ksenia, my cap also. This is all help. Our women are strong, our women are smart, our women are doing a lot. So the role of women in our army is very important. When it got started, the association outsourced manufacturing of uniforms for women, but has since designed and produced them from a factory in the northeastern city of Kharkiv, which can produce about 1,000. The hope is to start manufacturing as many as 5,000 pieces by adding another production site in the capital, Kyiv.
You're watching News Mongolia. Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports.
UEFA and FIFA's rule giving them the right to block clubs from joining a breakaway league and penalize players for doing so are compatible with European Union law, an advisor to Europe's top court said on Thursday. The European Court of Justice made a ruling after a dispute between the two bodies and the European Super League, which collapsed within 48 hours in April 2021 after a backlash from fans, government and players, which forced 9 of the 12 teams who signed up to pull out. The clubs that withdrew included all 6 of the Premier League teams involved: Manchester United, Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, Tottenham Hotspur, Arsenal, alongside AC Milan, Inter Milan and Atletico Madrid, leaving just Barcelona, Real Madrid and Juventus still signed up for the competition. A22 Sports Management, the company formed to sponsor and assist in the creation of the proposed 12-team breakaway league in April last year, argued that UEFA and FIFA abused the dominant position under European competition law in first blocking the league's formation and then in their efforts to sanction the clubs involved. But Advocate General Athanasios Rantas at the European Union Court of Justice ruled on Thursday the FIFA-UEFA rules, under which any new competition is subject to prior approval, are compatible with European Union competition law. Whilst the European Super League competition is free to set up its own independent football competition outside the UEFA and FIFA ecosystem, it cannot, however, in parallel with the creation of such a competition, continue to participate in the football competitions organized by FIFA and UEFA without the prior authorization of those federations. A full verdict is expected from the European Court of Justice in spring 2023. The Aaron Fox had 27 points in tennis, Domantas Sabonis added 21 points and 20 rebounds, and the Sacramento Kings held on to beat the Toronto Raptors 124-123 on Wednesday night. Malik Monk scored 24 points and Terence Davis had 19 against his former team as the Kings overcame a 16-point second-quarter deficit to beat the struggling Raptors. Kings coach Mike Brown was ejected after picking up 2 technicals with 9 minutes and 9 seconds left in the third quarter. Brown left the bench and ran onto the court to argue with the officials afterward. Fox was called for a technical foul. It paved the way for associate Jorge Fernandez to become the first Spanish coach to lead the team in an NBA game.
Being on the road for so long and facing all these tough teams, coming in this building, very physical team, a lot of length. We struggled, especially defensively. And, like you guys saw, coach got kicked out. I think, the fact that he fought so hard for his players, and then the players responded. And I think it was a collective effort. All the coaches were calm. They helped me a lot. And every single player, they were supporting. They played so hard.
Afterwards, the 39-year-old Fernandez told reporters it was a collective effort.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for the world's major cities. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you next week with more news and updates. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.